Hello. I just made myself lunch. I'm having stuffed peppers. So it's like couscous, black beans, rotel, spices, nutritional yeast, and then I topped mine with shredded like Mexican style cheese when they were almost done baking in the oven. And then toppings, I have guacamole, sour cream, and hot sauce, as well as I wanted like a pickled element and I didn't have like pickled onions or pickled jalapenos, so I added banana peppers. And it's not like great, but it's not bad. I like it. So anyways, I'm coming here to start a vlog because I haven't posted a video in a long time. I have a video that I need to edit. It needs to go up. Once again, my drawers are always open. Or my cabinets, I don't know why. Okay, so the plan for this video is to read as much as I can this week, and then maybe I'll start weekly vlogging because I think that's just gonna be a way to get videos filmed because I'm just like running out of sit-down video ideas, to be honest with you. Right now I'm currently reading Priest by Sierra Simone. I have a physical book of that. I went book shopping with my friend Andrea a couple weeks ago. Purchased it. It wasn't even on my TBR. I saw it, I bought it. I didn't realize it was set like in Kansas City. Basically, it's set in Weston, Missouri, which is really close to where I live. So that's fun. I'm reading that. I'm really liking it. However, it's hard to read a lot at once because it's like basically erotica. So the premise is that this girl, Poppy, who used to be a stripper. She comes from a really wealthy family, and now she is like trying to like become religious, I guess. She's like trying to find God, and she moves to this small town called Weston, Missouri. And there's a Catholic church there where the priest is like a 29 or 30-year-old guy. And the whole book is from his point of view. His name's Tyler. And he and Poppy pretty much immediately have this like infatuation, sexual relationship going on, which is a no-no for priests. I read the Grace trilogy, and my favorite part about that trilogy was the forbidden aspect of her relationship with the guy who wanted to become a priest, who was in seminary. And so I thought that this could be up my alley. I also really want to watch the show Fleabag because it's just like it's a forbidden relationship thing. I think that's what is like exciting about it to me. Anyways, I'm not gonna like psychologically analyze myself. I'm also not Catholic, so I don't have any like strong beliefs about priests. Does that make sense? I hope so. If you do, then maybe you won't want to read this. Anyways, like my husband doesn't want to watch Fleabag because of his Catholic upbringing, basically. It's just like he can't rationalize it in his head, I guess. I don't know. I'm also reading Inferno by Dante Alighieri because I've wanted to reread this so then I could pick up Purgatorio and Paradiso, and I'm gonna finish reading it and then I'm gonna read a modern translation. I did not realize that all of the translations, even the ones that are like a modern interpretation, I guess, it'll probably be a summary, but I just feel like I don't really understand what's going on or the significance of a lot of it. I read this originally in high school. I know we had like a lot of units on it. We talked about it a lot in class. I'm like struggling through it kind of. So I'm gonna read it was written in like 1320, so it's not surprising that I'm struggling through it, in my opinion. But anyways, that's what I'm doing. And I wanted to immersion read it, but I didn't take into account the fact that there are so many different translations. And the physical versions, I have 3 physical copies of this book, and I think all 3 of them are different translations. None of them have an audiobook translation, an audiobook for that translation, so the audiobook would be different, if that makes sense. So I can't really immersion read it. So I've been listening to it instead of reading it. I've been listening to it while I take my dogs for a walk. You saw that earlier. I took Murphy on a walk. Yesterday I took Marvel on a walk. I've mentioned this before. Murphy doesn't usually go on walks because he's anxious and just wants to go home, so the way I did it, but I want him to be like more comfortable in our neighborhood, basically, because he would like walks. He used to like going on walks when we lived in Arkansas and we didn't have a backyard, so I had to walk him multiple times a day, and he enjoyed that, but just like only his set path. So what I've been doing is I just walk him for like 15 minutes into the neighborhood down different streets, and then I let him sort of guide us home because he can find the most direct path home. Like I think our walk today was 22 minutes long, and 15 minutes was walking away from the house, and the last 7 minutes was just directly back. So that's my dog. He's crazy. But I was listening to the audiobook while I was taking the dogs on the walk. What other things am I reading? I have a couple ebooks that I still haven't finished. So like The Bee Sting, I haven't finished it. I started reading that book in March for my Irish reading blog. Okay, I need to finish that. I also haven't finished Project Hail Mary, which I keep losing the audiobook hold for. Not audiobook, ebook hold for. I honestly think I want to start that book over because I just don't really know what's going on in it anymore. And then Alias Grace, I'm like 65% of the way through. So I think I'm going to try to finish Alias Grace this week at least. and then just see where the other books take me. So that's the basic plan. I will let you know when I read other things and how I feel about things that I read, and just enjoy the vlog.
With the opposite sex. At all. Ever. Nothing. And you girls would do well to follow my example.
Hello, it's Sunday again. If you can hear anything in the background, I am caramelizing onions. I just started, so they're still very white, but they're gonna sweat out for a little bit and caramelize. We're making pizza on the grill for lunch today, and it's been a week since I've updated this vlog, and in that time I have come up with a theme to make this one of the HRCYED Volume 2 vlogs. So, if you'll recall, last week I was reading Inferno by Dante Alighieri. If you saw my wrap-up, then you now know that I have finished that book, and my thoughts aren't super clear. Hold on, I'm gonna try to set you down somewhere to talk about this. So I got a hold in for Airborne by Carl Zimmer, which is a nonfiction book about infectious diseases and the way they spread, primarily focusing on like how we discovered that some diseases spread through the air. And it was interesting. It was very biographical, which I enjoyed, but I think that's a con for some people. It's also pretty science heavy, obviously, and I felt like it almost dragged in certain parts with the science because I either didn't get it or I felt like I did get it and we could just move on. But, you know, and there were also like certain inventions that I didn't really, even at the end of the book, I was like, I don't really understand why that was included in this, but go off, I guess. So because I had that hold in, I was like, oh my God, air, Inferno is like fire. So one of the prompts is to read the 4 elements. And you can either do it with like on the cover, like if it had water on the cover, air on the cover, etc., or in the title. And since I have 2 in the title, I'm gonna do in the title. I have since finished both of those books. I wrapped those up in my July wrap up. And I have started Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson for the water book. And I have to pick a land book too, which I have not done yet. But Tress of the Emerald Sea is a fantasy book, and it's about this girl, Tress, who is called Tress because she has long golden brown hair, apparently. And she says it's just light brown, but like everyone is always like describing it funny. So I'm listening to this as an audiobook. It's the, what are they called? The ones that are like, it's a movie in your mind. It's one of those audiobooks, which means that I listen to it slower than I listen to regular audiobooks. So I'm just at 2 times speed. But it's following this girl, Tress, and at the beginning of the book, she lives on this island, and she's got this like, she's a window washer, but she washes the windows of the Duke's family. And there's this guy named Charlie who is like, I'm not the Duke's son. I'm just, you know, I work here too or whatever. And they're always like flirting and talking. And it's pretty clear that they're like falling in love with each other at the beginning of this book. And then Charlie is actually the Duke's son, which she knows the whole time. It's kind of like a joke between them. But his dad wants him to travel the sea to find a bride to bring home. And while he's gone, he keeps sending back letters and these cups to Tress. And then one day he stops, and I think it's like a year later, his dad comes back with his heir, and the heir is not Charlie, it's someone else. I think it's a cousin or something that has been adopted to be the heir because something happened to Charlie and he's been captured by this sea witch. And so Tress makes it her mission to go find him. And in this world, there are these things called spores, and the spores like explode or like grow vines, and they do all these horrible things. So people are very afraid of them. But they're only activated with water. But the spores cover the ocean, I think, or the sea. And so Tress is having to figure out a way to travel from her island, which you're typically not allowed to leave, is what I understand, to the Midnight Sea, which is where the sea witch is. And the Midnight Sea is called the Midnight Sea because it's covered with midnight spores, and midnight spores are very dangerous. And so along the way, Tress ends up getting picked up by a pirate ship, and she's trying to like convince them that they should go to the Midnight Sea, even though it's really dangerous. And it's like kind of found family because she's like making these friends on the ship. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's so fun. It's been described to me as very similar to The Princess Bride, and I can definitely see that. It's very reminiscent of the storyline with Buttercup and Wesley at the beginning of that movie, how there's like kind of a montage sequence of them falling in love, and then things happen where there's like a forced marriage element, and there's also a pirate element. Like I get where people are getting that comparison from, and I enjoy that. So I'm having a good time with that one. I don't know what I'm going to read for Land, but stay tuned. And hopefully I will remember to vlog this week while I'm figuring all of that out. So I don't know when this video is going up, but in theory I have this week's videos done, and I will have this go up the week after. And I'll probably film a book haul for the other video that goes up that week. But that's my plan, my thought process right now. So we're doing it. And then again, at the end of this video, I will come back and tell you what other prompt I'm going to use each of these books for, because like I mentioned before, I'm doubling up on all my prompts for HRCYED Volume 2. So here we go. Hi, it's Sunday. I don't remember what day I last updated this vlog, but I did finish last week. I finished Trust of the Emerald Sea, and I loved it. I thought it was so cute. I totally understand why people compare it to The Princess Bride. I think I've already mentioned what it's about, but as it goes along, Tress ends up becoming more of like a pirate. Like she gets roped into working on this pirate ship, and it's just like the friends she meets along the way. There's a talking rat, so I don't know if that can be used for the wild animals thing, because we have wild rats here where I live. I'm gonna look at the animals thing, because I think that might be a good option, considering it is like a talking animal, but I'm gonna look through the other HRCYED prompts. But I'm kind of kicking myself for reading Trust of the Emerald Sea, because I just got in a hold of Girl in the Creek, which creek would also be a water word, and that's a new release, so I am going to listen to that. I guess I'm going to talk about it in this vlog, because I do want to vlog all of the challenges that I do for HRCYED, but I don't know if it actually makes sense to. Do you know what I mean? So I'm still looking for an earth word or a land word, because fire, I did. Water, Trust of the Emerald Sea. Air, Airborne. Fire was Inferno by Dante Alighieri. That's what it was. Okay. So my earth word, I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna do for that. I don't have any real thoughts right now, but I'm hoping that I can find something and listen to it in the first half of this week. Tomorrow is Monday. I don't have a video yet ready to go, but I do have a bunch of books that I can haul, so I might do a book haul tomorrow and just quickly edit it and put it up. I don't have a ton, which is why I don't think it'll be a super long editing process, and since I own all the books, I won't have to like input them in post, you know? So anyways, right now what I'm trying to do this week is meal prep a little bit of the ingredients that I'm gonna make. So I'm doing these seitan burgers. So I'm gonna make the seitan tonight, and then I'll actually bake the burgers when it's time to make them later in the week. And I'm chopping some veg so that it's ready to go when I have to make stuff. And I'm trying to decide if I want to make rice now, because I'm going to do fried rice later in the week, or if I want to do it, it's best to do it like the night before, or like day old rice, but I don't think I'm going to make that until like Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm trying to decide if I want to just wait and make the rice the night before I make that, you know what I mean? So we were in Little Rock this weekend, which was very fun. It was Matt's sister's grad school graduation, so we just got back today at like 6:30, and I went to the grocery store, because there's nothing worse than like starting off the week without meals planned, and like the chaos of not knowing what you're gonna make each night is just so frustrating. So anyways, that's where I'm at right now. This update is kind of dark, but like the lighting is not very good in here. Anyways, I'm with my dogs. Murphy's right here. Murphy's right here. And we're chilling. I've read a couple other things. I've read a couple of YA contemporaries that I really liked. I read You Have a Match by Emma Lord, which I loved. And then I also read The Love Match. 2 match books, I didn't realize that. The Love Match by Priyanka Taslim. And I loved both of those. They're both like YA contemporary romances. The Love Match, I would say, is much heavier on the romance plot. Like I would say that it is a contemporary romance. It's about a girl who just graduated high school. She's Bangladeshi American. She lives in New Jersey, and a part of a town in New Jersey that has a large Bangladeshi and like South Asian culture and population. And so her mom is trying to set her up, her family's trying to set her up with this guy, but she actually likes this other guy that she works with, but the guy that she works with doesn't have like any family really, and so she doesn't think her mom's gonna approve of him. But it's kind of this like love triangle thing with her and the guy she's being set up with, and then this other guy. and it was very cute. I really liked it. And then You Have a Match by Emma Lord is about another girl who I think is going into her senior year of high school, and she's part of a trio of best friends. So it's her friend Connie, and this boy Leo, and they've been best friends since they were like very little. And Leo's a year older than them, so he just graduated high school and he's about to go to college. And apparently, like during this last school year, she and Leo had this like really awkward incident happen, and she has had a crush on Leo forever. But Connie told her that Leo told Connie that he didn't like her, so that's why she's never pursued it. And then at the end of the school year, right at the beginning of the book, Leo is adopted, and so he wants to do this DNA test thing, and he convinces Connie and the other girl, I think her name's Abby, the main character, he convinces them to do it with him, so to all get their DNA tested. And so they do, and when they do, Abby finds out that she has a full-blooded sister who's like a year and a half older than her. So like she's the same parents as this girl, and her parents are still together, and she has like 3 younger brothers, I think. So she's like, why would my parents have a baby, give it up for adoption, and then like a year and a half later have me? And so she reaches out to this girl, and this girl works at a summer camp, and is like, listen, you should come to the summer camp, and they basically like try to parent trap their parents. So it's her adopted parents and then the bio parents, because they start finding out that like the parents knew each other beforehand, and it was very cute. But I will say the plot of that book is much more about Savannah, I think is the sister's name, so Savannah and Abby's relationship, and learning about like what happened with their parents and why one of them was given up for adoption and like what was going on with that. It's much more about that plot than it is about Abby and Leo's like romance. But that is a part of it, is like Abby trying to sort out her feelings for Leo. There's also this other boy at camp named Finn. So she's like, it's again kind of got a love triangle. But I loved both of these books. I thought they were really good. You Have a Match reminded me of another book that I read a couple of years ago, I guess. But they probably came out around the same time. I think I probably read it in 2022 or 2023. And I think this book came out in 2023. But it was about a girl who was a sperm donor baby. And she did one of those DNA tests and found her birth dad, and found that her biological dad, her sperm donor, she found out that he had like a bunch of kids. Like one of those things where like they did not track the sperm bank very well. And so all these kids they like group together and they decide to go to where the sperm donor lives to try to meet him. And so it kind of reminded me of that book, which again, if I can remember what it is, I'll pop a picture here. But I also really enjoyed that book. I do think I liked You Have a Match more. I like Emma Lord's books. I've read another book by her, which was like a Mamma Mia retelling that like wasn't my favorite, but it is very cute. She writes very like cute, interesting plot lines. I think it's funny that the other one that I read was a Mamma Mia retelling, and this one kind of felt like a Parent Trap retelling, but I just thought it was fun. So anyways, I just mentioned that because I feel like I haven't really been updating this a ton. I've been filming this for like 2 or 3 weeks, but I'm only really talking when I'm doing her kid stuff. Or like specifically reading for her kid prompts. So I need to find my Earth book, and when I do, I will let you know what it is, and I will read it, and then I will close this vlog out. But that's what's up with me right now. And right now I'm gonna go meal prep some stuff. It's like 8:30. I'm tired, but I will talk to you soon. Hello. It's Tuesday, and I have actually read my book that I'm gonna read or what am I saying? I've picked a book for my Earth, prompt, and I've read it in its entirety. I read it all yesterday, which I didn't really expect to do, but I got very invested very quickly, and I loved it. So I read Wild from Lost and Found on the Pacific Crest Trail. Is that what it is? And trail is the word that I'm using. It's on my face. Trail is the word that I'm using for my Earth word, because a trail, like hiking trail, yeah, you get it. So I already said that I loved it. It's by Cheryl Strayed, who also wrote the Dear Sugar columns, and she had a book recently that I read that's like essays, I guess, and it's a compilation of Dear Sugar stuff, but this was her like original memoir. I think it's the first thing that she ever published. I could be wrong about that, don't fact check me, but this is from like 2012. It was very popular for a while. And it's about her in the 90s. Her mother died of cancer. That was the first thing. She's in her early 20s. Her mom died of cancer. A couple years later, she ends up getting divorced. And she kind of like, her whole life basically just falls apart, and she doesn't really know what to do about that. And she finds this book about the Pacific Crest Trail and is like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go hike this trail and then I'm going to get my shit together. And so the book is like kind of taking place on the trail with her going through, like talking about the things that she experienced hiking alone for like 2 months, like a long time, and all the difficulties with that and how unprepared she was for it and the people that she meets and the like experience of that. And then it also has a lot of flashbacks to her childhood. She had an abusive father, so she talks about that, and then eventually an absent father, and her relationship with her mom, her relationship with her stepdad, her relationship with her siblings, her relationship with her then husband, and sort of what happened in their marriage. And it's told very out of order, which is something that when I was first reading it, I wasn't sure that I liked it that much, but I did start it when I was at the gym, and I stay at the gym for an hour. So I listened to the first 3 hours of this audiobook because I listen to books on 3 times speed, which is crazy, I know, sorry. But by the end of that first hour, I was so hooked. And so I listened to it while I was cooking dinner that night. I listened to it while I was cleaning up the kitchen after dinner. I listened to it in bed before going to bed. Like, I read the whole thing in a day. And I think it's like a 13-hour audiobook. So that's like a little over 4 hours of listening for me, which is not nothing. I loved it. I thought it was so like captivating. And also Cheryl Strayed is a very like honest writing style. And I noticed that when she was writing, it's kind of driving me nuts that I can't remember what it's called. There's a Hulu series about the other thing that she wrote that I've read. And I remember I gave that 3 stars. Like, I just thought it was fine. I almost wonder if I would have liked that more had I read that after having all this background knowledge on Cheryl Strayed's life. It's possible, but something about like the way she talks about like grief and the grieving process, being mad at yourself and like anger with other people and how that manifests, and like being angry with the choices that you're making, but not being able to like prevent yourself from making bad choices repeatedly. I just feel like she's very honest. This wasn't a perfect book by any means. Like, there were things about her that I was like, girl, get up. Like, what are you doing? But also like, I liked the amount of distance from this trip that she had before she wrote the book, because it's almost 20 years after she did this hike. She did the hike in the early 90s. The book came out in the early 2010s. So it's like at least 18 years. And it made me cry in 2 parts. I did the mid-year freakout tag, by the way, and I said that I couldn't think of anything that made me cry. And since then, I've thought of several books that have made me cry this year. So hopefully saying it in a vlog, you know that I do. I am a very emotional reader. Like, I do tend to cry during books, or like tear up at least. It's not always like a full-on sob, but yeah, I just thought it was so good. And did it make me want to hike the Pacific Crest Trail? No. But it did make me want to like solo travel, kind of. I don't know when I'm ever going to do that, because obviously like I'm married. Like, the time to do that would have been before I got married, probably. I mean, I could still potentially do it now. It's just like, I'm just at a different stage of my life. Does that make sense? But I almost feel like envious of people who are single later in life and can like live life as an adult single, because I met my husband when we were 20, and we've been together ever since. And to be honest with you, I would not trade it for the world. Like, I'm very pleased with my life. It's just one of those things that I like think about. And I am glad also, this is kind of a tangent, but when I was in law school, I clerked in the city that we now live in, but I went to law school somewhere else. So we were permanently living there, and he had a job there. So he stayed. And during the summer, I was living like in a studio apartment by myself. And it wasn't super glamorous, but I am glad that I got the experience a little bit of living alone. Just because I feel like that's a nice thing to get to do as an adult, just like experience being on your own for a little bit. And again, I don't regret any of the choices that I've made. It's just something that I was thinking about while I read this, and I was like, wow, it's just crazy to me that she got to have this like adventure. And I know I could still have an adventure, but it just feels like not my life. I don't know. And I also wouldn't want a lot of the things that happened to her to happen to me, frankly. But I loved it. If you haven't read it yet, I think it's good. I think it holds up. It's definitely, she's not always super likable, but I feel like you kind of know that going into memoirs. And what I really appreciated about this memoir was how honest she was about things, because I feel like people have a tendency to like sugarcoat stories or like downplay their own wrongdoings and things. And that's especially something that I've noticed in memoirs that I've read that are written close in time to whatever is like the main theme of the memoir. And not to say that you can't write a book about that, right? But I think sometimes having some distance from it and some perspective, like really looking back on a time in your life, can make it more like impactful to the reader. So anyways, that is going to be the end of this vlog. I am going to put this up on Thursday. You might have noticed I did not have a video go up on Monday because I did not film my book haul like I was supposed to. I still have all the books. It should still be easy to do. I have still not done it, but hopefully I will do that this weekend, and then that can be next Monday's video. I don't really know, but that's where I'm at right now. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see what I'm reading for the rest of HRCYED round 2, subscribe, because I will try. I don't know how realistic it's going to be to vlog every single book that I read for HRCYED, because I think I am going to end up mingling some books fit prompts here at the end, but I will keep you apprised of all of that. I am planning on doing like a separate wrap up for HRCYED reads, where I just try to find what the HRCYED books that I read during the month, what prompts they fit, and then I will go through that. Hopefully sometime in September is what I'm thinking for that, for the books that I've read so far, because it started in July. It started in July. Okay. Anyways, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like it if you liked it. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, how you felt about them. Also, let me know if you are participating in HRCYED. I would love to hear about it. If you vlog it, let me know that you're vlogging it, and I will subscribe to you because I like reading vlogs and stuff. And thanks so much. I will see you in another video very soon. Okay, bye.